So today what I want to talk about is things that destroy the productivity of homesteads and farms. If you're gardening, you're farming or homesteading for survival purposes, basically what you're doing is subsistence agriculture, where you're living off of what you produce. And there are certain things that can kill your production that nobody seems to ever discuss on YouTube, social media, the gardening magazines, or TV shows. So today I want to talk about them. So the first thing I want to talk about is drought conditions. And currently we're entering into those. And one thing I've noticed, bush hogging and cutting grass and foliage already this year, is that the vegetation is very sparse. When I compare it to last year and previous years, what I'm noticing is the native vegetation, which is actually adapted to the climate, is very sparse. So that's telling me that the moisture deficit and groundwater deficits are pretty bad already. In our area, in June, July, August, and September, we have to use stored water to maintain agricultural production. In our climate, 25% of the rainfall that we receive in a year is due to hurricanes and tropical storms. Without this water and the ability to store it, much of the agricultural production in North Carolina and Southern Virginia would not occur. The next thing I want to talk about is frosts, and especially late frosts. A lot of the trees that we raise for fruit in this area and in other areas of the country, you could not maintain fruit production if you can't combat the freezing conditions that occur. Most plants are engineered and bred today, so they're designed for specific conditions in so many chilling days per year. And in many microclimates, the budding of these trees and the fruit production starts too early for the climate you're actually in. And in a lot of instances, they haven't been able to breed plants to account for this. So if you want dependable fruit production, you have to be able to combat freezing nights. So on our farm, for instance, we use smudge pots, burner barrels, and also spraying water on the trees to cover them with ice. So on certain nights when it's forecasted, depending on what temperature that is, we'll use smudge pots or burner barrels to warm the air around the trees. This prevents freezing and damage to the buds. Usually you have two thresholds of frost. One is 27 degrees Fahrenheit and the other is 32. Depending on the species of what fruit you're raising, as well as the cultivar, these temperatures can be different. But in our area, we look at 27 degrees and 32. Once I get below 27 degrees, then I find that the burner barrels do not keep up with the frost. So that forces us to spray water on the trees during these conditions, and if we get a good coat of ice, then the heat from the solidification of the water on the trees heats up the tree, and the ice acts as insulation, and we can maintain a healthy bud and guarantee fruit production. Last year we had an anomalous freezing event where we dropped down to 20 degrees, which was very unusual, and that resulted in loss of over 3,000 peaches and nectarines. So sometimes these weather conditions are noticeable, sometimes they're not. One thing we've always done is had thermometers in various parts of the orchard and the farm, and it relays back to the house so we can actually see the actual field temperature conditions. So smudge pots are extremely hard to find these days because due to environmental considerations, all the large farms have had to go to natural gas, wind generators, and other ways to protect their trees. The small farmer, the gardener, may be interested in smudge pots. Basically, they use diesel fuel and they burn and produce a lot of BTUs in order to keep the air around your trees above 27 degrees Fahrenheit. These are very difficult to find, and I don't think any are actually produced in the United States anymore, so you're pretty much at the mercy of importation. And lately I've seen one company that's been bringing them in. Last year I couldn't find any. So as a result of that, smudge pots that are used and in terrible condition sell for a huge amount of money, and they're not actually useful because they're actually used up and they're more of a collectible. So please comment, rate, subscribe, share your thoughts. We'll see you on the next video.